Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today I am going to share with you 4 simple September tasks you can do this month to get your garden ready for the fall, ready for the winter, and even, yes, ready for next year. These are very simple things that we can do, very practical things that we can do throughout this month to ensure that we have fantastic gardens in the coming months and years. So I am going to share these 4 simple tasks with you. I am going to tell you one, I'm going to do it, tell you another one, do it, so forth and so on. And then we're going to give a quick little update on the terrace garden because the walls are coming along. So we want to give you an update on that. The bed that I'm going to be working in today here, right along the driveway, right beside the house, my little shade garden. So we're going to do the 4 simple September tasks here in this space because it needs a little TLC, and so why not let this be the example for today's video. Really quick, I'm not going to go through it a whole lot, but this is a shade garden. You can see Brenna has her favorite stick. She is a very happy puppy. But this space is along right beside our driveway, the house. It gets morning sun and then it is in the shade for the rest of the day. Primarily tons of perennials and just a couple shrubs, but this is primarily a perennial bed. Now, it is September in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Some things are still looking great. Some things are showing the wear and tear of the heat and the humidity. Now, Number one, a simple task you can do in September is look at your garden. As your annuals begin to fade and they are struggling, we're going to remove them. Now, if your annuals still look great and they're happy and they're healthy and they're giving you beautiful flowers, leave them alone. If you want to take them out, fine. But if they're gorgeous and happy and living their best life, leave them alone, all is well. However, if they're in containers and you cannot keep enough water on them and they are getting thin, they have naked ankles, right? They are just struggling and not looking very good, and they're blocking half of your window that you cannot see. We're going to go ahead and take them out. If you've been following me for the last couple of weeks, you know I'm on this tear. As soon as annuals start looking rough, they're sad, I can't keep them watered, they're flopping, they're whatever, honey, they're out of here. So in September, as your annuals start to fade, just take them out. That's what we're gonna do. Everything else is looking great in here as far as the annuals, everything's doing well. It's this basket that's driving me crazy, so she's gonna go. So this bed was really easy to do, getting rid of the annuals because I just had one little area to take care of the annuals. So the second simple thing that you can do in the month of September is go ahead and take care of your perennials. Do you need to just clean them up? Clean up those perennials. So that is what we're going to do. Maybe it means you have hostas that were late blooming and you need to go ahead and remove their stalks. We're going to do that. Perhaps maybe you have a fern that is getting decimated by little caterpillars. We're going to go ahead and give her a haircut and clean her up. So any perennials that you have in your garden, get them nice and neat and tidy. That could mean trimming, that could mean pruning back, that means that you could just go in there and just kind of pull out some old foliage, right? Just get things neat and tidy with your perennials. If they are truly struggling, like this fern right here, we're gonna go ahead and cut it to the ground. Now, with your hostas, if you're new to hostas, it is really simple, y'all. You're simply just going to go in there and cut off these old bloom stalks. This is a Wiggles and Squiggles. Wiggles and Squiggles tends to be a later bloomer for me than my other ones. I've already done most of my hostas, so we're just gonna go in here and clean these up. So that's simple task number 2, clean up those perennials. Step number 2 is complete. I have cleaned up all the perennials. And so this is kind of a little bit of a judgment call. You get to decide. You are the gardener in your garden, not me, and you not in mine. So we can do things a little differently, and that is okay. Some of you with the fern, maybe you would have thought, no, Jenny, I wouldn't have cut the whole thing back down to the ground. I mean, I literally gave it a buzz cut. Maybe you would have done that. Maybe you would have gone in and just cut out all the brown. Not a problem whatsoever. Hostas, all of the old bloom stalks are gone. Went ahead with my Jack of Diamonds. I went ahead and cleaned up any of the really like the big crispy leaves. Cleaned those up, got rid of those. So it looks like a little bit of a neater appearance. Now, with my Sun King, there are 2 of these here, and this is where it really could go either way. Part of me, because I know this plant, like it's on the fade, right? It is only gonna go downhill more than it is right now, because you can already see, right? It's starting to get some burn on the leaves. It's more green and less of that beautiful bright yellow chartreuse color. And then down here at the bottom, it is starting to get some naked ankles, right? So you can see kind of the dead stuff in there. At this point, you could cut it to the ground. It would be perfectly fine. You're not going to hurt the plant. It is a tough perennial. You literally could just cut it off to the ground. Or you could just leave it alone. I think that's what I'm going to do, because as far as space wise, it takes up such a big presence in this garden. If I were just to cut it back all the way, it would leave this like big obvious hole. I'm just not ready for that yet, so I'm just going to leave it alone. If you want to go ahead and cut it back, absolutely go for it. Not a problem. You can do that. Now for step number 3, the third simple task that you can do here in your September garden is probably my least favorite to do, but it does make the biggest impact. What am I talking about? Yes, my friends, pull those weeds. It really doesn't matter if it's September or June or even January here in North Carolina, or March or April or May. There are always weeds. And so yes, if you see a weed, pull a weed. Now, I intentionally did not pull weeds when I was doing the other task, because I wanted to show you, yes, every gardener has weeds. If they say they don't have weeds, well, they're just lying to you, folks. Everybody has weeds. They are pesky, they are a nuisance, but they are there, and we want to get rid of them. Yes, they grow straight in gravel. Oh my word, if nothing else will grow, it will be the weeds. So that is the third and one of the most important things you can do, is pull those weeds in your garden. So no time like the present. I'm just going to get after it and get it done. My friends, that task number 3 is complete. All weeding is done. Now, I'm gonna give you a little tips and tricks for the weeding. One, get you a good kneeling pad. I have that nice thick cushy kneeling pad. I love it, I've had it for years. It is great. Get a hoary, or a little trowel, right? Something that you can pop those weeds out, especially if your ground is dry. A lot of times they'll just break off and you're not gonna actually get the roots. So get something that you can dig with. And then number 3, put as many plants as you can in your garden. Therefore, the weeds are not as bad. Now you may think I'm joking, but I'm really not. In this flower bed, you may have noticed that I only went into the flower bed one time to get a weed. All the other weeds were right here on the edge. Because this flower bed is so densely planted, it truly is rare that I will have weeds pop up in there. They simply cannot get any sunlight, and so they cannot germinate and grow. Where I get my weeds are right here on the edge. Plenty of light for them, and then when it does rain, water kind of collects here. you know, just momentarily. And so it's nice and moist for them. But yeah, I have this one pesky weed that is like a briars, and they are in there, and they've been in there for years. To try to actually get the main root, I'd have to dig up the whole bed. So I just do as best I can. That's the only weed that was deep down in there. Everything else was very superficial. So yes, the more densely you plant your garden, the less likely you're going to have weeds down deep in there. And truly it is the least amount of weeds when you have more plants in your garden. Now, task number 4 is the most fun. Jerry just came up, he was like, are you finished filming? And I was like, nope, I'm on task number 4. It is my favorite task for September, really any time of the year, but especially this time. Now, I don't know if the camera has shown you, like picked up on it yet, but Jenny has a little stash going on. Task number 4, start planting and collecting plants to add to your fall garden. I have this little corner here, 1, because it's right beside the hose link, so I can easily water it. 2, it doesn't get a ton of like intense sun, so the plants don't burn. Yes, I have started my collection of plants that I want to add to the garden. So I've told you this really like all summer. Just because it may not be prime planting season does not mean it cannot be prime purchasing season for plants. And honestly, like when you find a plant that you really like, go ahead and get it. Don't tell yourself, well, I'll go back and get it next week or next month. As someone who owns a retail garden center, I may have tons of those plants, but everybody's excited about them too, and they literally can be gone within a very short amount of time. And based on availability, we may not be able to get them back. So if you see a plant that you're interested in and you want, go ahead and get it, even if it's not the best time to plant it. Do what I do. Collect the plants, put them in where they do get some sun, right? You don't want to put them in complete deep shade unless they're a shade plant, but it's where they can get sun and you can easily water them. Now, another little trick. Notice here in the tub, I have got, I think 4 ferns in here and a grass. All of the root systems on these plants were pretty vigorous and they do love moisture. So I put them in a tub, and I don't know if the camera will show this or not, but there is just a very small amount of water down there in the bottom. So these plants are hanging out in here, but they are getting some nice moisture. They're not sitting in a ton of water, but they're getting watered. If you don't have a tub, or maybe they won't fit in there, again, so I had this little Everillo. Now she's looking sad because she dried out. So what I did is I got a little saucer. It could be a terracotta one like this. It could be a plastic one. It does not matter. Put the plant in that saucer. That way you're not going to have to water as much. So I just watered her. She'll perk up, but she looks a little sad right now. And then transplanting. With all of the construction that we're doing with the terrace garden, I had to pull out some peonies. Yes, they look bad. They'll be fine. They're a tough perennial. And then some epimedium. The epimedium does not care, but they too are in tubs. And then when it becomes time, then I will go ahead and plant them. 2 native azaleas from the garden center. We have, I think, lemon lights and snowbird. Again, we kind of hit a dry spell, so I'm not ready to plant these yet. I think I'm going to put them up at the chicken coop gardens, but I didn't want them to sell out at the nursery. Like, I wanted to get them, so I got 1 of each. They're sitting right here. I can easily water them. So begin planning, purchasing those plants for your fall garden. It's okay that they don't get planted right away. We got plants that have been in containers for like a year or 2 because they've been growing. As long as you get them enough sunlight and they get adequate water, they will be just fine hanging out in their nursery pots until you are ready to plant them. So those are my top 4 simple tasks you can do in September to ensure that you have a beautiful garden for the rest of the summer and into fall. So get out there, do little things. Like this bed was not that hard to do. If I wasn't filming, it literally would have taken me probably 30-45 minutes to do this. So it was very quick and easy. Now there's other parts of the gardens. If I went to go do those could literally take me a day or 2 to do like 1 flower bed, right? It all depends on where you are, what the bed needs, and you know, what is going on in that garden. So get out there and do something. Now, let's talk about the terrace garden. So a lot has been going on. You can see, y'all, it looks like we have giant gophers in our yard, because let me tell you, it is torn slap up. But as I tell my kids, sometimes you have to make a mess to make it neater. So that's the current state of what we're doing. All right, so let's just hit first things first. The back wall is, we talked about this, is completely done. The two side walls up there, they are completely done. The caps are not glued because we have to put the landscape lighting in. Once the landscape lighting goes in, then we will glue them and make any necessary cuts that we need to. Jackson was up there laying the caps on the newer small little walls right there. So don't freak out. Those are not permanent. They're not set. What Jerry is doing, let's just go up there. So while he's working, he has the excavator up there, obviously, and he is digging some trenches. I'm telling you what, this excavator has paid for itself alone in this project. He is digging trenches for irrigation. Right here we have the main hub source of the irrigation. That's where all the valves are. And so you can see the white PVC. What they would do is they came out and did a turn, and then they followed this wall all the way down. But because of the steps, and when you're doing irrigation, you really don't want to have, curves and 90-degree angles. You really want a straight shot. So what we're doing is we're going to leave everything here. We'll just connect the pipes, and we will shoot them straight out. So he is digging a little trench, and he's going to go straight out the patio. We have 4 zones, I believe, here. One will be for like the garden boxes, one is Hydrangea Hill, one is the cottage garden, and then one is the landscape and the flower beds all the way down the side of the woods. So we will, just tie in, get that fixed. Now, because we are in North Carolina, this is where I get to make my northern friends a little envious, a little jealous. Because we are in North Carolina, zone 8A, you know that yes, we have cold winters, right? We will get cold. We can get down into the single digits for a night or two. That's it. So when we do irrigation, we don't have to go very deep, my friends. Jerry's only going to be going down about, that's probably 6 inches right there. He's literally just like scratching the surface. Now, yes, there is going to be gravel on top. There will be the pavers on top, but we don't have to go 3 feet down with our irrigation. We don't have to blow out our irrigation in the wintertime. Our ground does not freeze. So he literally is just scraping enough soil so that that PVC will lay flat, and then any kind of grading that he needs to do, it will be just fine. So he's gonna work himself out of there, and we will get that PVC and the irrigation all set up. So that is what is happening with that. As you can see, you can really kind of tell the whole, what it's looking like, looking very nice for sure. Now, coming back down here to the bottom, this morning, Jerry and Andrew worked really almost until lunchtime digging the trench. And so they, with the excavator, dug the trench from basically where I am standing right here on the edge all the way down. So I will show you exactly where that wall is going to go, and you can see that Andrew has made great progress getting the first course down. Of course, we've talked about this many times. That first course is the most tedious because you have to get it level every single which way, and you can see that he is, man, he did a great job right there on that yellow line, nice and straight, beautiful and level. These walls will be the same height as these walls back here. They will be a total of 3 courses. So remember, on that first course, you're really not going to see much of that first course. Obviously, they had to dig it out, so the gravel will go back. And then on this side, of course, we will backfill and fill in with the cottage garden. The reason that they started right here is because this is the place where it starts to go straight, because this wall is going to come and it's going to wrap around the base of this lower pedalum and then go behind the lower pedalum. Well, that's going to be curved, and that means a lot of cuts. And right now, we just don't have the mental energy for a lot of cuts. We just want to get this down, because once you get this first course, man, you can fly and get those babies in there. With the steps, of course, they went straight across because the steps will be built off of this first course. and then, you know, they will go up there, thinking that obviously the steps are going to be one of the last things that's going to go in. So Andrew was working on that, and then just to give you an idea of the length of this, it is going to go all the way down. So all the way down to where the grass comes down. So we use this area a lot, because like when UPS comes or FedEx or any kind of delivery, or we have friends over or the kids have people over, this is a great like parking spot, right? Great turnaround spot. Have the driveway coming in, and we need all this area. So the wall is going to go right on that yellow line, and then it will go all the way down, you know, to the edge of the grass right here. Fun thing with this is that it is going to be that 3 courses high, which will not be, it's not going to be obtrusive or obnoxious, but it is going to be enough that people can see it. And also my delivery people won't then back up into the yard because there's a wall there. So hopefully it'll be big enough where they're like, hello, there's a wall, you know, watch out for me, that kind of thing. But from this wall, you're gonna have, and that's why Jerry put most of that soil back there, is because you'll have the wall here, right? So the yellow's on the edge, wall goes in, and for probably about 3 feet, we're gonna have a flower bed. So we're gonna be installing a new flower bed that goes all the way from the edge, all the way down this length up to where the Amsonia is right there. So it'll tie into there. So excited about this. Gosh, I'd have to measure that, but it's probably, I don't know, 50 feet, maybe 60, something like that. So I am already dreaming of next year. I can see tulips going in here for the spring. Glorious. I may not have enough. I may have to go buy some more. Don't tell Jerry. So mass tulips in here in the spring, and then of course going into the summer doing a mass planting of the same thing, or very simple, like this is going to be a simple border of gorgeous plants. So it is all very, very exciting. So progress is being made. It helps that we have cooler weather, drier air. We can work and work all day and not kill ourselves with the heat and the humidity. So that is a very good thing. All right, my friends, I hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Get out there. Those 4 simple tasks for September makes a huge difference. Just sitting here looking at the garden, not a massive difference, right? There's not anything that you can be like, oh my gosh, like just a dramatic change, but it is neat and tidy. And for me, and how my personality and my brain works, neat and tidy is calming. And so when things are neat and tidy, no, it's not perfect. One thing, there's no such thing as perfect, but there are perfect moments in there. And but it's in a transition. The garden is in transition going into fall, and I for one am so excited for fall to get here. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.